Good evening and welcome to the session on learning more about the geography model of well-being. To all our viewers, our professional connections, our friends today who have joined us, and thank you so much for joining us. Um as you know, my name is Abhijit. I am the co-founder of Joygraphy, and I've spent about close to 20 odd years in the field of assessments, training, and education management. And with me is my co-founder and partner, Vishal.
Hey, good evening, Abhijit. Good evening, all the colleagues, friend, and all the participants in this broadcast. As Abhijit introduced, myself, Dr. Vishal Gule. I'm a co-founder of Joygraphy, and I'm a chief research officer, a psychologist of Joygraphy for last almost 16 plus year. I'm in the field of psychology, in the individual and organizational psychology. Looking forward for this session, and thank you, Abhijit.
Thank you, Vishal. For many of us, let me put things into a little bit of context. For many of us, last 2 years have been tough, challenging, have made us in some way think, introspect, and strategize. So, you know, um in the last 2 years, somewhere probably we have reviewed life and business both, perhaps equally. For us at Geography, when we were thinking of all this as a passion-driven uh, activity or a professional engagement that we wanted to engage in, for me and Vishal, somewhere our background of being in the field of education and helping profession, somewhere the origin lies in that both of us with our 20 odd years of experiences each, one major lesson if we have to share with all of you, that was a key learning from our experience, and somewhere it was this that originated into our today our passion baby, so as to say, geography. And that key realization was that many of us, or most of us, are either victims of or are influenced by what I call as conventional choices system of thinking.
True.
It is this conventional choices about career, about family, about relationships, and even the definition of success is driven by conventional choices of life and thinking. And that's where, uh, when all this was happening at the back of my mind, I called up my friend who is today my partner. I called him and said, Vishal, you have been in this profession. Let's have a cup of coffee. I happen to be in Mumbai. You happen to be in Pune. Wouldn't it be a good idea to probably meet at Lonavala and have a cup of coffee at a very famous joint there for those who are from this part of the country, or otherwise also might know a famous cafe called Ramakrishna. And that was our first meeting where we started to discuss this project. It came to a stage where we started to ask each other fundamental questions, that what is it that people are looking for? Is it the if we have to somewhere look at success is what we are chasing, and if it is that, then what ultimately success is leading to? The one word answer came to us was happiness. But happiness is subjective in nature.
Right.
Happiness somewhere is different for different people. It
True.
means different to different people. And therefore, as we started going deeper, and I think here I will ask Vishal to kind of take us through a little bit of how from happiness we arrived at the the whole aspect of research on the one of the most talked about subject in the world today, well-being.
Very well said, Abhijit, that it's all about making conventional choices. And these choices are something which people are making because of certain extrinsic factor, some external factor that people are driven to make those choices. And because we are being bombarded, that it's saying that the famous American dream. So this American dream has not limited to America only. Now even a rural India is having an American dream, and that's why people are behind the materialistic pleasure and materialistic success. And that is why what you have mentioned is the conventional choices. And as you said, even in earlier our communication, you keep saying about the EMI cities. And that is what we are that's why the concept of happiness is being discussed so much, because people realize that do what, you are still not feeling that happiness. And almost a decade back, very famous approach to psychology is called existential approach. The approach says the more you will run behind something, more you will go away from it.
Right. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's like hyper intention. Hyper the intentions are away you from your goal. And I
Yeah.
remember this discussion extended to a research where me and our team of psychologists, clinical psychologists, educational background, entrepreneurology background, HR and industrial psychology background, clinical psychologist, the entire team sat together, and we thought that happiness is not something that we should, because happiness is very fragile. And then we came up with the model of a well-being model. So there are a lot of myths about well-being.
Hmm.
So there
Hmm.
are three words: happiness. That I was talking with one of a startup, and he told me that happiness
Hmm.
is an industry now. And I was
Right.
like, it's not happiness. Even American Psychological Association has talked about new startups who are jumping into mental health.
Yes. Yes.
And there are n number of startup every day, they are coming into mental health without any research, without any background, without any fundamental basic approach to psychology, to the
True.
to
True.
and it's just about happiness. And that's why WHO said that before COVID pandemic, there is a pandemic of mental health.
On pandemic of mental health, pandemic of burnout, and very rightly put. And I think that's where somewhere we wanted to go deeper into the
Yes,
aspect of that it is not happiness. Happiness is a temporary state of mind. And
correct.
in fact, if you're chasing happiness 24 by 7, then there's something to think about it.
And itself, happiness for you is different, happiness for me is different, happiness for a serial killer is different.
Absolutely.
Happiness for happiness differ, it's subjective, it's fragile. We cannot study it, we cannot because that's why in psychology we called it as subjective well-being.
True.
Subjective well-being. To be on a scientific side, I should explain the basic terminology here without using a lot of jargons. Just for the like everybody should learn about the reality of well-being. So there's a word happiness, well-being, and wellness.
Yes.
So wellness is all about physical exercise and growth from a physical side.
True.
Happiness is something which is fragile, and I feel we cannot scientifically study it. It's subjective in nature, it's different from everybody, we cannot study it. Well-being, on other hand, there are approaches in well-being. One, that entire the economical side. It is called
Hmm.
objective
Hmm.
or materialistic well-being,
Hmm.
where
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
having ability of purchasing certain things that makes you happy, or the country's GDP, and to be
Hmm.
specific, gross national product. So,
Hmm.
for example, a country whose GNP is very high, it means they
Hmm.
are
Hmm.
producing
Hmm.
more things, selling more things, earning more money.
True.
But it is not well-being, because a pharma company will earn more money by selling more antidepressant tablets. So when you sell more antidepressant, it means your society is consuming more antidepressant tablets.
Absolutely.
So you cannot call it happiness, you cannot call it well-being. Or more prisons built.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So country's GNP is high,
Hmm.
but
Hmm. Hmm.
well-being is not. So again, we cannot
True.
link it with the money. That's why the approach that Joygraphy, the model that Joygraphy very carefully, the team of psychologists and the entire research team is taking, that well-being is something which is functional in nature, which deals with day-to-day functionality of a
True.
person. So it is about functioning well. So the analogy that we have used is feeling good, doing good. So feeling good is feeling happy, but you cannot always feel happy. So
Absolutely.
doing good is something which is sustainable, long lasting. So for
Yes.
that,
Yes.
we came up with a model, geography model, which had 6 areas of well-being. So
Correct.
basically, the broadly in individual well-being and workplace well-being. So individual well-being, so it's like workplace well-being, personal well-being, relationship well-being, physical or health well-being, career well-being, and the core of this whole thing, the core of this is your value system. So
True. True.
motives or values. So this is a
Hmm.
model
Hmm.
which basically considers not only your happiness, but meaning
Hmm.
centric, purposeful life
Hmm.
from all areas of your life. So
Yes.
we
Yes.
just not assess people from these are not
Absolutely.
only assessment. These are more
Yeah.
than assessment, where it
Correct.
will give you a roadmap to live more meaningfully and functionally. So this is
So
about
let me
geography.
absolutely. So let me kind of put this in perspective, and in a way summarize what you said in the last few minutes for our viewers and our friends here who have joined us. And so from happiness, we wanted to basically go and figure out things on a more sustainable basis. That what is it that people are looking for? So consciously, unconsciously, we are looking for perhaps that balanced state of mind, perhaps that equilibrium where we are okay with the pluses and minuses of life. We have accepted certain things, and we are somewhere wanting to live to be our best version. Now, this obviously lies true in our personal life as well as our professional life. And that's where we decided that there are 6 key areas of well being that Vishal mentioned some time back. That's where geography's research focused on that all of us, whether it is 9 to 5 or 5 to 9, we live life mainly in these areas, and these areas are where we look for well-being. One, our job or our workplace. Two, our careers. Three, relationships. Fourth, physical self or physical and mental health. Five, personal or emotional self. And six, what lies at the core of our existence, our value system. What did we do thereafter when we identified this? We mapped and measured 174 human behavior traits across these 6 well-being areas, almost 414 sub traits over a period of 2.5 years, and analyzed close to 250,000 data points. That gave birth to our indigenous, our research, perhaps one of the largest research undertaken in the recent times in the field of psychology and well-being, that can contribute to personal as well as organizational growth in our country slash Asia, because some of our data also comes from Asian countries. Now, having done that, what exactly did we, uh, in terms of our research, when we followed the norms of the American Psychological Association and came up with these analytical tools, which today obviously are driven by technology, as we have our own software or our own technology platform, that can reach out to individuals and organizations to help them get insights into these six well-being areas for personal flourishing as well as organizational flourishing. Now, Vishal, if I can kind of ask you to comment on, when we identified these six well-being areas, what kind of research approach we took into each of the areas, or maybe in general, you might want to throw some light upon why did we take that approach, and how it kind of gives the insight that maybe an individual or an organization could be looking for.
Uh, yes, definitely. The approach that we took is basically the positive psychology and health psychology approach together, because the focus was personal as well as professional life, where people should
Mm-hmm,
enjoy and
mm-hmm,
make most of them of their ability. So
mm-hmm,
there are
mm-hmm,
six different, as we were discussing, there were six different
mm-hmm.
tools that were developed, and in the first tool that we had developed is workplace well-being. So here
Yes.
in the workplace well-being, there are eight different factors that we have evaluated in workplace well-being. So environmental mastery, it's something which is highly studied, and unless you feel that at workplace you have enough mastery over the things, over the happening at workplace, a research says that 49% of contribution in depression is because if you are not feeling environmental mastery. So those who are suffering from depression, they basically it's a published research by Carol Riff, and she has mentioned that one of the reason of experiencing depression is at workplace you don't feel that things are under control. You don't feel
Mm-hmm.
that you have adapted the situation as per your psychological functioning. This is something that we have taken care in the geography research in the form of three
Yes.
particular dimension. One is my work life balance, the amount of burnout I'm experiencing, and how much proactive I am into the approach that I'm having at my workplace. With this, we have also assessed the psychological environment at workplace, the kind of climate we experience at workplace, because that, see, most of the time, almost half of our life we spend at
Mm-hmm.
work. Half of
Mm-hmm.
our life we spend at
Yes.
work. So
Yes.
it's like a society inside. It's like a culture
Yeah.
inside.
Almost like a family,
It's
extended
almost
family.
like family, and it's an extended family. So whatever happens there, we take it inside, we consume it, and we take it at our home also, with our family.
Absolutely.
That's why my self understanding, my relationship with others, my professional relationship, my health, everything is connected to it. That's why
Yes.
in the one area of geography model is workplace well-being, but along with this, the other area is my personal life.
And before we move to slight personal life of research and the approaches that we took, if I could just hold on your thoughts on the workplace well-being aspect, and just spend next few minutes in a little bit of workplace well-being, where some of the aspects that are I wouldn't like to call them myths, because they are as required as some of the other aspects. What I want to draw the viewers attention to is that when it comes to workplace well-being, many a times well-being has a very narrow definition,
Right.
because of the common day-to-day uh, parlance that we use. We tend to equate well-being with physical exercises, yoga, work flexibility in terms of working hours, or some of the perks that an organization offers. So, while all of this, no doubt, is a necessity in today's times, but there are deeper aspects in workplace well-being that we have considered. While you spoke about environmental mastery, psychological climate, and some of the other purpose like job purpose, other factors like job purpose or job autonomy.
Job
I think
growth.
these are things, job growth. These are things we wanted to bring into our research and our tool for the simple reason that somewhere we need to get into the depth of understanding and connecting these with productivity, with culture in an organization, with the overall change management issues that the organization might be facing. With change management, today everybody is talking about resilience. But how do you then exactly measure resilience in a company? How do you exactly come out to understanding the compassionate levels in an organization, and how these factors directly are affecting to not only the individual or team members or employees KPIs, but also to the organization's growth factors. So somewhere, if you could just spend a couple of minutes on these, that how our tool and the research helps in these kind of findings.
So, Abhijit, there are yeah, 8 different dimensions that are being measured in workplace
Yeah.
well-being. We talked about environmental mastery.
Yes.
Environmental mastery is very closely connected with the concept like mental health, resilience, because these aspects are something which underneath the environmental mastery they are being assessed.
Yeah.
How I cope with the challenges at my workplace, because we cannot deny the pressure and challenges that are there. Stress is inevitable part of our life, and basically fundamentally what we all human beings, what
Mm-hmm.
all
Mm-hmm.
human
Mm-hmm.
beings are looking for, they are looking for freedom.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for
Yes.
freedom. Unless you experience that freedom at workplace, I'm not talking about freedom means liberty to do whatever you want. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
that. Freedom is to feel that I am contributing something, and that contribution is being valued. That's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
It's something which
True.
plays very crucial role when it comes to performance. Unless I feel that autonomy at the job, at my work, I'll not, nobody, not just me, not just you, nobody will give their 100%. So this, very particular core factor is called job autonomy. Basically
Correct.
the independence, the freedom of expression, freedom of, if I share something, my subordinate will at least give a ear to it. At least to
True.
consider it. And it not only about the employee, it's about the overall organizational impact from a business side. I'm not now talking about, these things are interlinked. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, which every element, every piece plays
True.
a role. Then you get the whole picture. So, environmental mastery with job autonomy. So, when I get that freedom, then I give my extra. So, that extra bit
True.
is something. With this, I also need to have certain purpose in the job. Unless, having purpose, meaningful job, something which is beyond me, something which is greater than myself, that
Yes.
the feeling that I'm
Yes.
contributing, feeling that I'm
Yes.
contributing. I was talking with one employee in a counseling session, and he said, "Sir, I'm working, I'm getting salary, and everything is fine. But you know what? When I go home and I sit alone, I feel I'm not doing something good, like my legacy. That after my retirement, I'll share with people that this is what I have contributed."
Yes. Yes.
That is the purpose of job,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and it leads to the entire organizational growth. It is not only about, it will reflect in the books. It's not
Absolutely.
about that employee ultimately.
Absolutely. And that's where I think we would like to draw attention that workplace well-being, that's what I was trying to say some time back, that workplace well-being is not just about offering the team members, offering the employees the best of the facilities, the yoga and the Zumba and
Correct.
the gym memberships or some of the other perks. Yes, those are necessary absolutely to keep them fit, but beyond fitness is there are well-being workplace well-being factors that directly contribute to the organization's business performance. Let's kind of move or draw our attention to other parts of the research that we drew our
Yeah.
uh, the tools and the insight. Sorry, you wanted to make more point.
Just a addition in 10 seconds. All of us we are going through certain problems. All of us. Nobody is. It's a kind of psychological infection that
Yes,
now all of us are infected.
yes, and they
So
say
all of us
stress
are
is contagious.
contagious. So all of us are suffering. But when you are suffering from something, when that suffering is meaningful, you don't mind to undergo the suffering.
True,
When that suffering is meaningful, when that suffering is not meaningful, you feel that why I'm facing all this.
true.
When that facing has a meaning to it, then you are ready to face.
Yeah, you kind of take the stress in a positive manner, which is necessary to perform and succeed in life. And when that is not in line with your thinking, in line with your values, in line with the job purpose, etc., that we were discussing, then it starts showing up mentally and
I
physically.
remember this from a dialogue from Munna Bhai MBBS, when both of them, the Munna and Sargid, goes into jail, and they say that Gandhiji was in the jail and then the city after his name. So the meaning of jail for Gandhiji was something else, and there was a meaning in the suffering. And here, the
Absolutely.
meaning in the suffering is something else. So unless we have meaning for the suffering, the suffering is useless.
How true is that? And sometimes some dialogues in Bollywood get written maybe with a thought probably of an entertainment, but some it carries deeper meaning.
Right.
All right. So, Vishal, can we discuss about uh, when we started developing our tools on personal well-being, on physical well-being,
Yes.
particularly physical well-being, and then personal well-being. What kind of approaches from a research and a scientific perspective that we took, and how the findings therefore are very critical for people
Yes.
in terms of achieving well-being in these area of our lives.
Yes, Abhijit, this is very crucial and important, especially at the last 2 years, the kind of things that we are going through. I studied health psychology in my doctoral research. And one important thing is, for many years, all of us, we are using a model called medical model of the health,
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
everybody is treated for the symptoms.
True.
That, these are the symptoms, and you are being treated for the symptoms, not the illness.
Hmm.
On the
Hmm.
other
Hmm.
hand, WHO is advocating the health model, which is not only from symptom, not only from medical perspective, but from psychological, social, cultural, even religion, spiritual perspective, because everything combines into it. The same approach we have taken in Joygraphy, where we talked about mind body connect.
Absolutely.
You must have heard people saying that, nowadays my shoulders are paining a lot, having lower back
Hmm.
pain,
Hmm.
uh, you know,
Right.
uh, gastrointestinal problems, acidity, constipation. There is a entire pharma
Hmm.
industry.
Hmm.
A big share of pharma industry is into
Hmm.
constipation and acidity related supplies.
Sure.
The reason is psychological. The reason is psychological, because it's mind body connect. Whatever you
Mm-hmm.
are
Mm-hmm.
experiencing in your day-to-day life, everything is boiling down, you are just pushing it down and your body is
Absolutely.
taking the toll. That's why in physical model of physical well-being model of geography, we have developed a tool which will assess that mind body connect from my physical health. Here
Mm-hmm.
we are talking about sleep disturbance, headache,
Mm-hmm.
because nowadays everybody is complaining about headache. So what are the
Mm-hmm.
psychological
Mm-hmm.
aspect of it? Then my
Mm-hmm.
respiratory issues. There are now many n number of papers recently published
Mm-hmm.
talking about role of psychological factors in COVID survivals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even the
Mm-hmm.
infection and post-infection survival rate were higher in the people who were more resilient, more
Yes.
psychologically fit. So respiratory
Yes.
infection also has a role of psychological factor, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
gastrointestinal issues, which we I just mentioned. So
Absolutely.
physical
Absolutely.
well-being in one factor we are going into detail of these four things. Then with this,
Yes.
we have
Yes.
also considered the health habits, my attitude towards health, and we are talking about mind body mechanism. We are talking about
Yes. Yes.
the stress symptom. When I'm going through, see,
Yes.
stress is something which is inevitable. What
Absolutely.
impact that is having my on my body, that 41 different stress symptoms are
Mm-hmm.
now linked with my physical expression of the stress.
And I think that is perhaps one of the very interesting findings that have come out of the geography research, is the physical well-being tool, that an individual would be able to understand 41 symptoms, stress symptoms, that he
Yes.
or she might be going through physiologically, which might have psychological connection. And that's, I think, is one of the highlights of our research and the tool and the analytical intelligence that we can provide.
Yes.
Excellent. Can we just quickly spend some time on personal well-being? What are the factors that we have taken into consideration when we talk about understanding self? One of the challenges, or I wouldn't like to call it challenges, but one of the um, day-to-day habits of that all of us tend to spend on social media. We are bombarded by uh, motivational videos. We are bombarded by some very interesting talks from all sorts of gurus, which is
Motivational
very
speakers.
motive, which kind of gives a little bit of daily dose to people, and people enjoy it. But one also sees that people enjoy it momentarily, and then it doesn't really sink in, and there is no understanding of, okay, what it means to me. What are those things that I have to understand when somebody says to me, start looking within, start look inwards. Huh, what is it that I have to look inwards? What does it exactly mean when I say look within, or accept yourself, and then everything around you will become uh, nice and fine? So, where have we tried to bring it a scientific approach, if you can speak on personal well being?
It's as you rightly pointed out, we are bombarded. We are bombarded, and everybody on, especially on social media like Instagram, there are reels now which talks about how to be positive, and this toxic positivity in a psychological
Yes,
language we call it toxic positivity. This
yes,
toxic
absolutely.
positivity makes you feel like you should be positive all the time, you should be happy all the time. And when the word should comes, it means it's not, because you cannot demand to yourself. Sometime being not okay is okay sometime.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
okay. And the key to is what we have taken into psychological well-being is understanding yourself.
Yes,
Understanding your real self is one very important, and all psychology student, their day one of psychology career, they have been taught that the psychology starts with yourself.
yes.
Understanding yourself is the key, and my self concept, my self acceptance, my self worth, my self efficacy, my self reflection. It's something that the basically, to make it more simple to understand, it is answer of who am I,
Correct.
with
Correct.
all my strengths, with all my weaknesses, with realistic manner, from the perspective of my real self and my ideal self.
Yes.
So
And yes.
it should be in sync. If my
Yes.
real self and ideal self are away from each other, it means I'm struggling. So
Yes.
this is
And
what
that's
we
what.
have.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what we have considered in psychological well-being, personal well-being scale, in understanding
Yes.
self as a concept.
Yes, yes, that's what kind of excites me a lot about this entire this particular tool. That when people say understanding self, it means exactly what, and these are some of the nuances of my self worth, my self respect, my self acceptance levels, the way I handle my stress, my coping levels, and my empathy levels, my mindfulness levels. These are some of the very fine details that we have gone
Yes.
into defining and analyzing one's psychological well-being, and very excited to share it with with the wider audiences as such, with individuals, with organizations, with our work. uh, Excellent. I think somewhere this work is something we would like a lot of coaches, a lot of corporate trainers, a lot of psychological counselors, exercise and physical trainers, lot of relationship coaches, life coaches, leadership coaches who can take, uh, associate with our research findings and probably take lessons from. From our findings and applying them in their practice, uh, so as to uh, so our goal probably in the next few months is to create an ecosystem of people who would be interested in more and acquiring probably those knowledge and skills that are important to understand our tools, our research, and implement it in their practice. Vishal, how do we kind of go about this? What's our plan in terms of helping people with the knowledge and skills?
Yes, Abhijit. So, this work is really huge. Almost 40 years of experience, a combined experience of 40 years has went into the research. And to summarize it in the session is very difficult. But then, the passion behind the research is that people should get help from it. So, as you mentioned, so anybody who is in the helping profession, for at least for 2 years,
Mm-hmm,
they
mm-hmm,
can come and join us for a program. We call
mm-hmm,
that as International Wellbeing Coach. So in this
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
program, some master facilitators, senior psychologist, clinical psychologist,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
corporate trainer, and HR experts, this team has came
mm-hmm,
together from all the parts of the world. So from US, from
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Europe, from Middle East, from India, different parts of India, from Asia Pacific. So these experts we have came together and we have designed a very beautiful program. We named it as Foundation Program in International Wellbeing Coach. In this program,
Wow.
we want to invite all the people, professionals who are into
Mm-hmm,
this helping profession. They can be from counseling sector, coaching,
mm-hmm.
training, HR. Any sort of people-oriented professions where they'll learn the real science of well-being. As we are
Right,
discussing in these sessions, that there are a
right,
lot of myths about well-being, happiness, wellness. What is the real science of well-being?
right,
How
right,
they can apply it in their practices?
right,
Because
right.
we don't want people to end up using something which is not scientific.
Scientific. True, true. Absolutely true. And that's why we want people actually to understand the finer nuances on the basis of scientific research, and guide people with very very specific and personalized aspects of their challenges that they face, whether it is at personal well-being, emotional well-being level, physical well-being level, or at workplace, or at even career and relationship well-being. Of course, today we didn't talk about career and relationship well-being because,
Yes.
as you said, it's a research that we conducted over 2.5 years or so, and it's difficult to cover it in 45 minutes of our planned session today. But yes, these are some of the interesting findings that do come out of our research about how different levels of intimacies in relationships can affect the relationship depths, the satisfaction in a relationship, or even in career well-being, how everybody has an occupational personality, and when you relate that occupational personality to your deeper interests, to your passion, likelihood of career success grows higher. And that's what we have developed in our research on the career well-being front. So
A lot
yes,
of such
yeah,
a
yes.
lot of such facts, like people have questioned that why their relations are not lasting long. So there are certain functional aspect, there are certain intimacy related aspects. So intimacy related aspect are at place, but many times people struggle on the functional aspect. So the geography research has taken care of it. More on this can be discussed and talked in the foundation international wellbeing coach program.
Yes,
So
yes.
that is something that I'll we'll be talking in the program.
So, Vishal, some of the questions that are coming in the private chat to me are the foundation. So, there are three levels of programs, is it? And what could be the duration, and how can probably those who are interested in can join the program?
Yes. So foundation program we are having on 29th and 30th January, and it is 8 hours program where we are covering five broad topics in like science of well-being, the different skills and techniques that one should use when they are using well-being in the practice. Then different psychometric assessment that can be used, and geography psychometric assessment models and the science behind it. So in depth we'll be talking about it. The second level of the program will be the advanced program, where
Mhm,
not only assessment but post assessment, the interpretation and intervention part, the solution part of it will be trained in depth over 20 years or 20 hours of session, where each area of well-being in depth will be explored, the intervention part, the assessment part, and the application part of it individually in each area will be explored. And will have third level of this program that will be a
mhm,
master
mhm,
program where 20 hours will be dedicated on only on each area. For example,
mhm,
relationship
mhm,
well-being,
mhm,
entire 20 hours will be spent on relationship well-being, where certain pain points and
mhm,
problems
mhm,
will be taken and those will be
mhm.
dealt in the session.
All right, all right. Yes, it's been pretty exciting for all of us, not just the both of us, but all of us at the geography team who have been associated with us, our associates, our team members, our advisors,
Yes.
and we really look forward to sharing our work in the form of our coach program, or in general as well. We would be looking forward to sharing more insights with you as
Yes.
we go ahead and start interacting with the wider audiences as such. So, to those who have joined us, thank you so much for joining us on the LinkedIn Live, and I think we're live on Facebook as well today. So, thank you so much for joining us. This was something that our friends and well wishers asked us to talk about on our research and our program. So, have a great evening ahead, and we hope you enjoyed our session on the geography model of well-being.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for attending. Thank you very much. Looking forward to have more interaction. Thank you.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Have a great evening.
Bye.